All right, everyone. I am so excited to have Maggie Harlow joining us for the Forget Perfect Leadership Interview Series. Maggie, welcome.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Yes, and Maggie is the owner of Sinorama downtown Louisville and also the founder of Maggie Harlow and Associates. She is becoming a speaker on the circuit right now, and she's rocking it out.
I'm
Um,
following in your footsteps. Vitale, I'm just like trying to keep up.
we're doing it. We're in this together. So for everyone here, like, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your leadership journey.
Okay. Well, I grew up here in Louisville. I worked for my family's business. My father was a car dealer. I worked for him all through middle school, high school, through college. And then after I graduated, he was like, well, why don't you come work for me full time? Which I didn't really want to do. I was skeptical, but it was actually a great choice because my dad, I worked for him from there from about 12 years, and he
Okay.
really showed me leadership. He didn't teach me leadership, he showed it to me. He literally brought me in to learn and experience what it's like to be an entrepreneur from
Yeah.
the inside the office. And then my husband and I opened our Sinorama franchise in
Mhm.
2003 with two children, small children at that time, who are now we're empty nesters.
Yeah.
So we've owned our Sinorama for 23 years, and that has been, of course, just daily lessons in leadership. Running a
Yeah.
business is a daily lesson.
Yes. Yes. How has something like or building something from the ground up, like the Sinorama downtown Louisville business, but also even your Maggie Harlow and Associates business, like how has
Yeah.
it shaped the way you lead and how you show up?
Building a business, building something, whatever you're building, I feel like teaches you the most powerful lesson for me has been just learning patience, because
Yeah.
you might start something and you have a vision for what it's supposed to be. Like, oh, I'm supposed to, I'll give you an example. When I opened my business, I was like, well, we're supposed to provide healthcare coverage for our employees, but we literally had two employees, and so it wasn't feasible financially.
Right.
It just takes years to build the thing you really want to build, and I think that's been a tough lesson for me, is to stay in the moment you're in and be
Right.
okay with, well, this is what I have so far, and to just keep
Yeah.
growing it. And I feel the same way about the speaking business. I see you, I see all these professional speakers, and I'm like, I want that.
Yeah.
And you have to wait. You have to wait to get there. Even if you know what you want, you have to kind of build it
Yeah.
a little at a time.
Well, and I believe that like what you ask for, you receive. And I believe that it happens at the moment where you can make the biggest impact. You know what I'm saying? Like if I think about like there was a speaking gig that I had this past March and I have been wanting it for 3 years. And if I had gotten it 3 years ago, it would not have been what it was this past March. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Yeah.
message wouldn't have been as profound because I have grown as a person and I am more aware of how to serve the audience better. And so it's just, like as I get older and wiser, I'm like, oh yes, like it's the message isn't ready yet for that, or something better's on the way.
Yeah. I mean, the universe doesn't get timing wrong.
Yeah,
And it's like learning to trust that the universe has its timing and there's a purpose, or God, or whatever you might believe.
yeah,
That yeah, you have to let things happen when they're ready to happen, 100%.
yeah. Um, so what does the word leadership mean to you?
You sent me the question in advance, which is usually super helpful, but you asked some really tough questions.
Oh, well, we're gonna go with the flow too.
So the question, I love this question. What does it mean to me? Um, I think leadership to me is sort of like be true to yourself. That everyone leads in different ways. Some people are extraordinary leaders because they're visionary. Some
Yeah,
leaders are extraordinary leaders because they're good at paying attention to every detail and making
yeah,
sure it's right. Some leaders are great leaders because they'll outwork anyone. They will put in whatever hours they have to put in, and they will outwork everyone and everything. So you have to, I feel like leadership is really about an expression of your own self, your inner self, and learning how to trust in it to guide you. And you're always learning new skills and adding new ways of doing things. But I think most importantly is knowing yourself and knowing that any result you get in whatever you're creating and leading, that's your result.
Yeah,
And, it's easy to point at something that isn't going right, and say, well, that's my sales manager's fault, or that's my
yeah,
scheduling person's fault. But no, actually, it's all you.
yeah, yeah. Like, oh yeah, it's me. Or like, there's that saying, "You spot it, you got it."
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That
Yeah.
really that really gets me at home with my husband. I'm like, darn it.
You spot it, you got it. I
You
love that.
spot it, you got it. But it also goes the other way. When you spot good things in other people, it also means they're within you too.
Oh, that's
Um,
nice.
I feel like we are in like the most like we are in like a season of like the most relentless pace
Mm.
in the workforce, like the most disruption, like the most pressure. Like, what do you think are some of the key leadership skills right now that people need? When like the stakes are high and the pressure is real, like
Right.
what are some of the most important things right now for leaders?
Curiosity.
Yeah.
Uh, I think as new things are happening, and of course accelerates, like I feel like we're reaching this new pitch of change that accelerates so fast. Um, you know, an example is I feel like big companies like Salesforce, massive
Yeah.
software companies, dominant in the industry, are under threat because of how fast and how
Right.
quick AI and software are changing and, vibe coding, I don't know, all this stuff
Yeah.
happening. So I think you want to be curious as a leader right now in this maelstrom of change, um, but not to get too sucked in too fast. It's sort of like you want to pace yourself and not feel like, well, I better open a TikTok and I better do this. And well, now this is a thing. I better get an AI
Yeah.
assistant and all of those things. And I would just tell you, be curious about things you see happening and change, but not to be not to feel compelled like, well, if I don't do it, I'm going to miss the entire boat. Like it's going to be gone forever because that's not really ever true.
Yeah. 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 It's interesting. I also feel like being like consistent for your team and like communication too. I just feel like that's from stories that I've been hearing and articles I'm reading is I think it's a big opportunity
Yeah. And I
for
mean, I think
people.
leadership, I think you're right about, being consistent that I feel like for my staff, my job is to stay calm
Yeah.
and not to be to anything, right? Like just to kind of hold my center. And yeah, I might be screaming on the inside, but
Right.
I need to just stay calm and confident. And then they'll look at you as like, oh, well, she's calm and confident and she has everything on the line, so I can be calm and confident. So I think
Right.
that's a big part of these times when you might feel like you're screaming inside.
Right. It's like be really sturdy for everyone. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which isn't always the easiest thing to do. So tell me about a moment, a leadership moment that didn't go as planned. Like, how did you recover? Or what did you learn?
Um, leadership is about failure. So I have lost great employees that I probably didn't have to lose. I have lost great customers I may not have had to lose.
Mhm.
And I think that the story that probably jumps out at me the most is I had a project manager who was really good, and she was like one of those hungry achievers. You know what I'm talking about, Vitale.
Yeah.
Someone who's just like, I'll do it, boss. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah.
And she essentially like self-immolated. Like she just essentially burned herself up, and she just I didn't manage it. I was sort of like, I think sometimes as a leader, you can be so grateful that someone is like, give it to me, boss, give it to me,
Yeah.
that you're like, oh, this is amazing. She's willing to
Yeah.
take it on and do it, and I don't have to think about it. And I saw her kind of like overheating, and I didn't know what to do because I was like, well, she loves to achieve. She loves to be number one. She loves to go for it. And I think what she needed at that time was for me to pat her on the hand and be like, stop. you gotta let go and let me
Yeah.
distribute some of this. And you need to take a breath and maybe even take a vacation for a week. Like you need to decompress. And I didn't do that. And eventually it took a long time because she's very hardworking and very
Yeah.
loyal. And so she kind of, the engine was smoking for a while and I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
And so I think now I've learned to really be careful when you notice that in an employee, whether that's like a collapse or whether that's like they're burning themselves up or whatever it might be,
Right.
and intervene. And I just didn't. And I think that that is something I've learned as a leader is trust your gut. If you see
Yeah.
something that doesn't seem right, don't second guess yourself. Get involved. What you said. You spot it, you got it. Like
Yeah.
you are on fire.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
put that out. Let me put that out. I
Yeah.
wish I had done that for her.
Well, and I think too, sometimes even when we feel like we create a space where people can come to us and tell us that they feel overloaded,
Yeah.
they may not recognize it themselves. They still may not feel like they can because of that perfectionism, right? Like I need to be able to handle it all. I need to be able to prove myself because I've
Yes.
even found that where it's like, okay, what can I take off your plate? Like it's like I can tell that you're really stressed, which is completely understandable. And like, how can I help you?
Yeah. And sometimes you have to, I think I would have had to just like wrestle it out of her arms.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, I think you're right. If I
yeah,
had sat down and said, it seems like she's like, no, it'll be fine. I'll work this weekend. I'm going to catch up or whatever. So
yeah,
yeah, sometimes you might have to just be like, give me that.
yeah, yeah. I think for me, when I like reflect on some of those moments, like I am really fast moving and very high paced, and my mind moves really fast. And sometimes I can expect other people to move at the pace that I move, or I expected that. And I think that I really created unintentionally in my 20s as a leader, like a lot of burnout. I mean, we were successful on paper, but we were not
That,
successful like as human, like feeling wise.
yeah, didn't feel like success.
Human doings,
Yeah.
yes, but not human beings.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a very common thing for young managers. And and that was a lesson I had to learn as well. Like I have my own strengths and I lean into them, right?
Yeah.
Strategy, futurism. I'm like, yeah, it looks like this. And I just thought everyone could see it. I'm like looking at something, right? And I feel like everyone can see this projection in my mind. And I've had to learn to be specific and bring them along at the pace they can come along. So yes, I completely agree with you on that experience.
Yes. It's like we all have our strengths, right?
Yes.
And opportunities for growth. So, you're building this new company and stepping into speaking and kind of thought leadership. And um, what has it been like to kind of take to some degree, a step away? Like you're still involved in Sinorama downtown Louisville, but
Yeah.
you're not as involved. And so, like, how has that been, right? Because it's hard to kind of ungrip yourself.
Yes, it's actually been incredibly difficult, like you're describing, to let go. I feel a lot of guilt. Like,
Okay.
there are times that, for example, I've had a lot of travel stack up this month, unexpectedly. Didn't plan it that way, but it kind of all just landed. And I was talking to my husband about it, and I was like, I don't know if I should do that trip. And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I've been gone so much. He's like, nobody cares. Like, you're fine. It's fine. Like, we know you're coming back. We know you're available. And so it's been a process of trusting that I'm not destroying my team and that they're fine
Yeah.
and they'll let me know. And I check in with them. But it is like this weird disconnect where I just don't feel as much as I did as part of the team. I'm taking on a different role. I'm taking on almost a little bit of an arm's length role from the
Yeah.
company, which is a little strange for me. So that's been hard because I identify myself so intensely with Sinorama. But what really has pulled me in is having a new industry to learn because it is like a completely different industry. It's a completely different way of doing everything. And so as I've learned, I'm still just like a little baby in the woods walking along, but it's been so much fun. It's like
Yeah.
almost getting a degree. You feel like, oh, I'm learning
Yeah.
a whole new set of skills. So that's kind of been a nice balm for
Yeah.
my separation anxiety is like I'm having a great time learning something new, which I
Yeah.
do love to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really powerful. So how would you like describe this season of your life?
Oh, well, I think I'm in my 50s. I'm 57. And I think 50s, my aunt described it to me as it's the power decade. It's the decade where you've had all these experiences. Your kids are probably grown or close to grown
Yeah.
if you have kids. You've seen a lot. You've
Yeah.
been you've been in the trenches. And so you come with such confidence and lessons, all the painful lessons you've learned that to me it feels a little bit like lightning bolts out of my fingertips. Like, well, I mean, what don't you want? Like, do what you want. There's this freedom in it that I love. So I think that's the way I would describe the season is like a freedom of like, oh, I have all these tools now. I've built all these skills and I have this freedom to go make the imprint I want to make, which is just, I mean, I never expected this time of life. It wasn't
Yeah.
on my bingo card. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to reach this point where this is going to happen. So it's been just thrilling and really fun. I now I'm like, I wonder what 60s are going to be like. Surely it's going to keep getting better because
I
it
think
has
so.
gotten better with every decade.
Yeah. So for someone on the outside of you, I feel like you always just show up like so fully yourself. No, in like the best, like in a really like powerful way, like so fully yourself,
Thank you.
authentic, like confident in who you are, supporting other women and other leaders, just kind of this like abundance um, mentality. And so I would love to know, like, is that how you've always been, or like, where do you think? And I know that age also plays a role in that, because I'm in my mid 40s, and so I feel that for myself. I was not there 10 years ago,
Right.
but I didn't know if there's like other things that have kind of shaped that for you.
Well, thank you. That is a very high compliment and I appreciate it. I do feel like I try to show up authentically. And I think for me, I wish I could go back in time and coach myself, although I'm not sure it would have worked. But
Yeah.
I think what I've realized is people respond to that. Like, and I think you figured that out. I feel like that's a big secret to your success is you figured out that like you don't have to have it all together. It's okay if you have a zit. It's okay if you wore the wrong shoes. It's okay if you don't know what that term is in a meeting and you raise your hand and go, I'm sorry, can you go over what that means? Like there's just this release of anxiety in a way, and I don't know if it's age, or my mentality of just I don't know. I don't know if I don't think I've always been like this.
Yeah.
I think I've just seen enough of the world and you're done raising kids, which kids can be such a huge energy suck, right?
Yes.
Like the kids, of course, it just takes so much energy. And then when they're gone, you're like, oh, I've got all this leftover creative energy. So
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of things, but I think that if women could have the confidence that young men have, like you
I
look at
know.
young men and they are just like, whatever. And I'm just like, how do we bottle that and give that to women? I don't know. But I do feel almost like I feel like I have the confidence of a man right now. Like I don't know. Like I'll just show up and people can either take it or not. And if they don't like it, it's completely okay with me. I think realizing that people not liking you or you not doing something right is really completely okay. I think
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was so wound tight. Like I wanted to be perfect and I wanted to get everything right. And when you realize like nobody gets it right. Everyone crashes and burns. Everyone's failing. Everyone wakes up in the morning having the dreads or whatever. Then you realize, like, oh, I'm completely okay.
Yeah.
Flawed and messed up and bad hair day or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, especially with in speaking, you have to fully be okay with people not liking you, right? Like there's gonna be
Yes,
10% of the audience that I'm not for.
exactly.
Like,
Yes,
and so that was major growth for me. I had to really like detach from that. And I also had to really detach from people's body language and facial expressions. And, because when you're speaking, you read the room and it's how you engage with energy, but also there may be someone in the corner that just got a terrible email or is
yes,
going through a divorce or is having and it has nothing to do with me. And them not liking me has nothing to do with me anyway. Um,
yeah.
And I also remind myself I'm not that important.
Right, one of my favorite thought leaders, I talk about her a lot, is Byron Katie, and she
Oh,
says something
yes.
that I absolutely love. She said,
Yes.
"It's none of your business what people think of you."
I know.
And I just love that. Like, yes, I might see someone on their phone during my speech, or I might get a customer note that's like, I thought this person was rude to me, or, and you have to realize like it's not about you and they're entitled to their opinion. I don't need to manage their opinion. I can just be like, great opinion. I have
Right.
one too. We
Yeah.
all have them, so let them have their opinion.
Right. And also like celebrate the fact that they know themselves, that they know
Yeah,
it's not for you, right? Like
yeah,
I was when I had my coaching business before my current business, I would do these group coaching programs for women. And there was a woman that emailed me and it was after the first session and she was like, Vitale, I don't think your program's for me. Is it okay if I get my money back? Is it okay if I leave the program? And I had personally participated in programs where I knew it wasn't for me and trying to get out of it. Like they were really rude to me, like you're a quitter. And I was like, I will never treat someone like that.
that's right.
And I remember I responded to her and I was like, you know what? I'm so proud of you for advocating for yourself and listening to your intuition. And yes, I will refund you. And she was like, I cannot believe you responded that way. And I was like, well, I have not been treated that way in the past. But I think too,
Yeah.
like just celebrate people knowing themselves. Great.
Mhm. Well, if you don't have anyone who doesn't like you, then it's harder to have people who really love you.
Right. Right.
Like if I want people to love me and be devoted to me and love my work and root for me, I have to have haters because you can't
Right.
you can't have a whole spectrum. If I'm going to be middle of the road and no one is,
Right.
people are like she's fine, right? Like if I'm just going to sit here, then I never get here. So if you want customers and people and to be excited about you, you're going to have people who are like not for me, and
Yeah.
that's
I
perfect.
think it's also like a sign of success when you have people that you're like, I'm doing something right. Not everyone likes me.
Exactly. If you're not breaking a few things, then yes, you haven't done it right.
Yep. Um, so how do you think you became comfortable with failure?
I've had a lot of it. I've had a lot of failure. So you learn, you live through it. I remember this is such a crazy story. I remember I was in college and I had a bank account. I was going to school in Bloomington, and this is before online banking.
Okay.
And I had a bank account and a payment got missed or I don't know what happened. I was overdrawn. And I got the note from the bank. I got a letter from the bank that said
Mhm.
I was overdrawn. And I was so upset about being over. I literally put on running clothes and I like ran the furthest I've ever run in my life. I just ran and like got a panic almost run.
Yeah.
And of course now I'm like, what in the world is wrong with me? You're overdrawn. That's no big deal. You just pay a fine and you get your
Move
money.
on.
I don't know what that was about. But yes, you start having a lot of failures and you realize your failures are your gifts, your failures are totally your own, your failures are the greatest way to learn. They're your teachers, they're your coaches. Like
Mhm.
failures are something I love to look at. Like if I get a bad review, by God, I'm on the phone with a customer. I want to know everything. Like, and so
Yeah.
you learn to just be curious and
Yeah.
deeply interested in your failures and not as interested in your successes. Like when it
Right.
works, you're like, okay, that worked, great. But the failures, it's like, I've just learned to become really obsessed with them. And I think what I learned that from was customer service. Like
Okay.
I grew up in customer service, I grew up facing unhappy customers at a car dealership. You can imagine the complaints and the issues.
Yeah.
And because I got that early experience and exposure to unhappy customers and unhappy
Yeah.
people, you kind of just learn like, oh, it's no big deal. I mean, you got to work through it. You got to fix it and you got to talk to the customer, reconnect and make it right. But a failure is just data.
Yeah. Yes. It's like an opportunity to start over with new information.
Yes, it's an education.
Yes. So have you like how have you created an environment within Sinorama downtown Louisville? Like where people like have you kind of pushed that as a part of your piece of culture is to like embrace failure?
Yeah, we recently, I didn't know they had a name for it, but the system that is for employees to file complaints
Mhm.
about process. Let's just focus on process. Is
Okay.
called an andon. I never heard that before, andon. And so we have been deploying andon systems in the company where the installers can file issues around whatever they're experiencing out in the field. Everyone can kind of like register their complaints essentially. It's sort
Yep.
of like giving everyone a megaphone. So we've been working on that over the last couple of years because I realized that a lot of people's natural instinct is not to complain. They
Right.
don't really like complain. They don't want to be a whiner. They don't want to get someone in trouble. They
Right.
don't want to, be negative, or they just are like, I'll fix it and move on. Don't worry about it. It's always like that. So it's been amazing to me when we kind of put in a whole
Okay.
process where people can just go on digitally and just send in their and on how much we've learned about what we've been doing wrong, about
Yeah.
how some people have been covering up mistakes because they just deal with it. So I think the biggest thing right now in the company
Yeah.
is a culture of bring your complaints,
Yeah.
airing of grievances. Let's have an airing of grievances all the time. You have to you have to learn to help people understand how to make their complaints, not
Yeah.
to be like, well, this was just stupid. Okay, we don't need to say that.
That
We
needs to
can
be
talk
productive.
about it. Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
have to assign something to it. We can just say, this did not work. This
Right.
process is broken. And
Yeah.
that's been really healthy and teaching the managers, the leadership team how to take it in and not to, well, he's just always complaining. Sometimes I hear that and I go, maybe he is always complaining, but where's the value in what he's saying? Because if there's something here we can learn from. He may not be 100% right, but let's look at it and not get defensive.
Yeah. But that also requires trust,
Yes,
right?
a
And
huge
so,
amount of
I
trust.
mean, right, like they're not going to feel safe to do that if you hadn't created,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
trust within your culture too.
yeah, yeah. And we have an annual meeting that I think builds a lot of trust because our annual meeting is all about letting the whole team live in person in front of each other talk about what are
Yep.
the things that are holding us back. And so when they can say things like, I think we should be making more money here, or I
Yeah.
think we need more PTO, or, I don't know, they might just have these like
Yeah.
very, very hard to hear things. And I read them, we talk about it in front of the whole team and I explain why or why not I can't make a change or whatever's happening. And so it teaches everyone like, okay, you're not going to get in trouble for just saying you feel underpaid, and I think that builds trust, and openness and
Yeah.
transparency where I can be like, well, I hear what you're saying. I want to make more money too, but here's where we are. Here's how to make more money in this company. Here's the
Yeah.
path to make more money in
Yeah.
the company.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Um, but the rejection or failure piece, I have a friend and she actually sets quarterly failure goals for her senior leadership team.
Oh my God, I love that.
Like so and it's a sales organization, right? So, and they typically never, because failure, like a mistake is unintentional and failure is intentional because it means we're trying,
I'm writing this down.
right? And so, so I think that's powerful. I've been teaching that within organizations. And then I think also I have a client and they're at their monthly staff meetings, they go around and everyone talks about their most recent failure. Just like normalizing it. Like in my business, like we have a goal of getting 100 speaking rejections this year. Like that's how we're framing it. Because I'm like, we're not, like it's much
Well, you
like
can't
there's
get yeses until
right.
the
It's too much
no's add up to a
pressure.
yes. So the
Right. It's
more
too
no's
much
you get, the
pressure.
more yeses.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like
too
a
much
math
pressure.
problem.
Right. To say like we want, we got to get all of these wins. It's like, let's just go for the nose.
I love that.
And then
That's
it's like not
100%
as
right.
stressful. We take more
Yes.
action. So yeah, our goal is 100 rejections this year.
Yeah. I used to, when I was selling and very actively selling, I used to say to myself, let's just keep getting the no's. Let's search them out, ask the customers. And we get the no's as fast as we can because that gets us quicker to the yeses. 100%.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, so with this relentless pace of life and AI and change and all that kind of stuff, how do you make time for thinking? Because I feel like organizations like that, the ones that win are going to understand the importance of like creating space, like having no meeting Fridays or whatever. Um, space for their employees to think, because strategic thinking, effective decision making, curiosity, like all of that stuff needs, like listening, all of that stuff needs space to thrive. Like, how do you, or do you create that space for yourself?
For myself, I feel like honestly, I feel like probably like you, my brain never turns off. Like I'm in the shower, and I feel like our brains sometimes, it's intentional, but sometimes our brains just work when we're not
Right.
actively trying to make it work. Like suddenly I'll just be like, oh, I know what to do. Oh my God, it's just the answer came to me. Um, I think that for us culturally in our company, we try to reduce the length of meetings. We have
Yeah.
meetings, but we really try to be super effective about like, what's the goal of this meeting? Let's
Yeah.
hit the goal and let's get out the hell out of the meeting. So I try not to keep my team too occupied in a lot of meetings where they're debating and instead
Right.
letting the people who are supposed to make the decisions make them. And they have this freedom to be thinking about it and make the decision. For me, I don't have a specific strategy for how I spend time thinking about things. I love to ask other people things. So,
Right.
if I'm wrestling with something, I love to hear what other people are doing with it.
Yeah.
And that helps me a lot because I get a fresh take. I remember talking to a friend of mine who owns a business, and I was talking about in our industry, in the signage industry, it can be tricky to balance the right number of people for how much sales you have. Takes a long time to train people. So like suddenly you have a spike in sales and you're like, oh, we're shorthanded. How do we hire and get people
Yeah.
trained? And you have too many and then sales drop off. And then you're like, oh God, I've trained these people and now I gotta let someone go. I gotta make a change. And he said, every one of my employees is part-time. He said, I have about 200 part-time employees. And I was like, what? He had like a translation company. And so that was before automated translation,
Yeah.
but he would have all these translators. And I never crossed my mind. And so sometimes you talk to people outside of your industry
Yeah.
about what you're struggling with, and suddenly your best ideas grow. Someone says something that you go, let me think about that. And then you plant that seed and eventually something grows out of it. So I think that's my best way of thinking is kind of collaborative thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. What is some of the best leadership advice you've ever gotten?
Um, be afraid and do it anyway.
Okay.
That leadership is scary and you're making difficult decisions about people's livelihood. You're making decisions that might be very public failures, but being afraid or being unsure about your decision is sort of a permanent it's a permanent thing.
Right.
It's rare that I make a decision where I'm like, I know this is going to work. It's 100% right.
Yeah.
And you kind of are like, think this will work. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty sure it'll work.
Yeah.
So I think the best leadership advice I got was, yeah, of course you're going to be unsure and afraid, but you got to do it anyway. You can't delay the decision waiting for a guarantee, waiting for the perfect circumstance, waiting for the answer to drop in your lap. You have to be willing to make decisions and move forward, even when you're scared or you're unsure.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's interesting for all of my perfectionism, that is not one of mine. Like,
You're good at like, let's go, let's
yes,
go.
like I'm like, we will build the airplane while we're flying it. Like we are just, like, because if I have something on my heart, I mean, like we are gonna go for it. And it's fine if it fails and it doesn't make it
Yeah,
feel good, but like we'll pivot, we'll do something different. My first business, it wasn't for me, it wasn't the right fit, but it led me to where I am today.
that's interesting.
And so it's interesting, like my
Your
risk tolerance,
perfectionism
all
didn't
of that.
include that
Yeah,
subset of behavior.
it's really interesting. I
Yeah,
literally left corporate America as a single mother with no savings to start my business. There was no one else's income that I was going to be able to,
yeah.
fall
Nothing about
on.
your circumstance was
Yeah.
like, great idea.
Like literally no savings. Like it's not an exaggeration. It was like the scariest year of my life, and I don't really recommend it to anyone. But I feel like now I can be like, I've done it in scarier circumstances, so you can do your thing. Like, go if you believe in it. So it's just interesting for all of my perfectionism and my need for control, like that, I am completely immune.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Well,
very
maybe it felt like a form of control. Like I'm gonna make a decision and I'm gonna just move was a way of you being in control. That is really interesting.
well, I
Because
think
a
also,
lot of perfectionists turn into overthinkers and
Right.
overprocessors, and they get analysis paralysis, and then the opportunity passes them by.
Right.
So I just, that's kind of an interesting fun fact about
I
you.
know. But I think also it's also I think part of that is authenticity. Like when I have something in my heart, like like there's no like I never thought I was going to be a business owner, and then I went to like a Lisa Nickel conference and some other conference, and I was like, okay, yeah. And literally 2 months later, I told my boss I needed to go part-time. And then I did, and then I quit corporate America as a single mother with no savings. I wouldn't do anything different, but I'm just like, because my authenticity, like I couldn't lie to my boss and say, hey, I'm gonna stay here forever. I was like, actually, I think I'm gonna start my own business.
That is really interesting. I didn't have that experience, but similarly, when I decided to open a business, it was
Yeah.
like a light bulb went on, and it was almost like a voice from outside that was sort of like,
Yes.
"You're going to open a business," and I was
Right.
like, wasn't on my plans, but I guess that's what I'm gonna go home and tell my husband I'm gonna do. So that is funny. Yeah, it's like maybe it's maybe it's our brains processing invisibly and doing the calculus and then spitting out this decision, and then we just are like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing.
I mean, I don't know. It's like every piece of perfectionism, like that's why
Yeah.
I teach it, has impacted me. That subset of things is not, I will walk through it.
So do you have clients you've coached who have that inability, like who struggle with making decisions
Yes.
because of perfectionism? And so are you sort of like, why is it so hard? Or are you comfortable coaching that?
I think I find myself saying like, why is this so hard? Which I understand like is not the right response. It's, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm
What's
saying?
wrong with you?
I know it's, but I think because I'm just like, gosh, if you have something in your heart, it's like we have this one life, like
I know.
go for it and pivot. But I also, for me, have experienced like the scariest of financial situations and survived. And so I
Yeah,
think,
you
what I'm
you
saying?
stood on that cliff. You
Right. And
stood
so
on
I
that
think,
cliff
and like
and looked
truly,
over.
like this is a very, like I sold a piece of furniture to buy a Christmas tree that first year for my son. Like, I mean, and so I think like too, I'm like, yeah, like you can survive the scariest of situations. I'm not saying that people need to go there. But yeah, that's a really good, thank you for saying that. I probably could do a better job coaching that.
Yeah, but it's like a skill if you don't, if it's not a challenge to you, it does sometimes feel like, what's the big deal?
Right.
And you said something just now that reminds me, like, I feel like what underpins a lot of my worldview and the way I approach my mindset, the way I approach the world is this sense of urgency, this sense of I am a walking miracle that I even exist, that sperm got
Yeah.
that egg, and I'm here and I'm healthy and I'm here at a time when we have antibiotics and I'm an American. And like, it's like, I won the lottery of life. Like there's just so many good things. And the people who walk around with their head down, I'm just blown away. I'm like, no, y'all, no, this is a miracle that we are here. It's truly a
Right.
miracle. And so when people are like, I'm thinking about this, I just don't know. I'm like, do it, do it,
I
do it,
know.
do it, do it, do it, do it, do it.
Yeah. Well, because I think like for me, I feel like one of my indirect purposes is to be an example for others that anything is possible for them. Like I am not special because I wrote a book. You can write one. Like I am not special that I'm a speaker. I used to be deathly afraid of it. You can develop the skill.
Yes,
Anyone can. Like
yes,
it's possible for anyone. Like if I just believe if you have like a dream on your heart, like that means it's meant for you. It's not there by accident. You didn't accidentally hear the dream on your heart. Like it
yes,
is there. Try it. And if that doesn't work out, it's going to get you to where you're supposed to be.
yes, yes. I standing ovation. That's
Like,
exactly how I look at the world.
huh,
It's like, what are you doing? What are you
yeah,
waiting for? I can't believe it. That people I mean, it's in me, I'm one of those people who start things. I'm not always good at finishing things, but I'm really good at like, oh, I'm gonna do this. And I love to start things. And I don't know how people resist the urge,
I know.
Like I was talking to my husband last night and he was like, well, I was saying, I was feeling this crafty project coming on and I have this. So I was describing to him, oh, I ordered these materials and they're arriving and I get, and he was just like, is it gonna work? I was like, I don't know. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
gonna work, but I just got to do it. I mean, I'm just so like, as soon as the idea came to my head, I was like, oh, order, order, order. Let's see if this actually works. I don't know how people resist it.
I know. Well, hopefully our message can be don't resist. Do
Don't
the thing.
resist. Just go with it. Just go with it.
We could talk forever. Okay, so to close us out, you said, feel the fear and do it anyway. Do you have any other final words for our listeners?
Lately I have run into so many young people who are ambitious and hungry and ready to go, and they are um, they're not they just don't realize like you're supposed to go out there and do things and you're supposed to fall on your face and you're supposed to have success and it's going to be a mixed bag. You're going to have a great day, you're going to have a bad day. You don't want a good day every day. You don't want a
Right.
boring, even life that's like safe and careful. Like break some shit. Like get out there and do things. And that is how you will learn so much faster and you will grow as a leader and you will not need perfectionism and control when you are willing to be like, well, let's throw it on the wall and see if it sticks. And you can learn to do that. You can learn it. And so that's what I would say is if you're a young person eager to lead, volunteer to run a committee at a nonprofit. If your job does not let you practice leadership, go find an opportunity to lead, start a nonprofit, do something, start a crafting club, start a weightlifting club. I don't know, just build
Yeah.
the things, start the things, try the things, and that is what is going to make you a great leader.
Yes. Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much, Maggie. This has been amazing. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you, Vitale. I think you're amazing. You've been a great mentor to me. You have been helpful to me in so many ways. And I love what you've created with your life. It's so cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.